Well, hello there, YouTube, and welcome to another virtual painting session. So this painting is dry, touch dry that is, and ready to continue pushing on. That being said, if you are watching this and you missed the first two streams, this is the third one now that we are doing to layer this painting. Definitely check out the other ones, but if you're just signing on and watching the stream live, please feel free to ask me any art related questions. I'll be painting for about an hour or two, no more than 2 hours live today. So we're going to go ahead and continue to develop this one. And the photo reference, I finally posted it in the community section of my YouTube channel. So if you do want to have access to the photo reference, just go over to the community section of my YouTube channel and you should have access to the photo reference. And just like last time, I am going to warm up by painting in one section of the skin tone. And that's usually how I like to start, which is with one section of the skin tone. And I think I'm going to start off probably around the cheekbone area. I'd say to our right, just this section over here. And I'm using my iPad as my photo reference device. So I'm just going to place my iPad down off camera. Hopefully it doesn't show. I don't think it shows. Hey Brenda. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and mix some colors up now. This is the third layer, and third layer is still pretty young in the lifespan of a long-term painting, which this one is a long-term painting. And so I don't think it's a good idea to use any extra medium just yet. So I'm just using Flake White and all of the other colors that I have, which by the way are listed in the description box of this video if you're interested in those. So I'm using Transparent Mummy, Terre Verte, Michael Harding, Transparent Mummy, Rublev, and my Flake White is Williamsburg. That's all I'm using for now. And I'm going to see if I can just match the color really quickly. Hey Gary. Okay, so that's fairly close. Okay, good. So now that I have a good starting point, I'm now going to decide the approach, how I'm going to go about developing this painting. First thing I can do is locate drawing mistakes and correct them, therefore chasing the likeness. Or I can just go and push on developing the painting, and I think I'm going to do the latter. I'm not really going to chase too much likeness with this one, and I'm just going to continue to build. So picking up where I left off last time. Hey Jav, good afternoon to you. So picking up where I left off, I'm just going to go ahead and start to kind of round out the midtones a little bit more. In the past, I would have used a glaze or oiled out or something like that, but lately, when it comes to layering oil paintings, I think it's a better idea to hold back on the usage of a lot of extra oil and mediums until later in an oil painting. Hello there, Lucy. Alright, so starting off over here. Again, I'm just kind of matching the color. When you're warming up in a painting, don't just jump right in and start to round out things. Obviously, I see a bunch of stuff that's kind of messed up on this painting, so that's good. It's good to see things that can be corrected, but for the most part it's a good idea to just warm up. Hey Marshall. And I hope everyone's adjusting to the difference in the hour. Depending on where you are in the world, it probably didn't affect you, but the hour went back for us in Maryland, where I live. Which is why I put an Instagram post. I usually don't do that, but I made an Instagram post about the fact that I was streaming exactly at this moment in time, just in case anyone didn't catch that. Anyone interested in watching. So we are entering the long and boring stuff in this stage, the middle stages of the painting. So I didn't work on it at all. I didn't even touch it since the last time. I mean, obviously I picked up the canvas, but I didn't paint on it at all since the last time you saw it. Hey Mariah. Let's go ahead now, round out over there. And I always say that to skill build, it's a really good idea to work from life. If you don't have a model that can pose for you, then paint self-portraits. And while you're painting self-portraits, also consider when or if you have to paint from photo references like I am, consider what is observed, what could be observed from life, or what is exclusive to the photo reference. And if you find something exclusive to the photo reference, try to ignore it and paint what you perceive to be in real life. Hey Karsten, hello. I'm using a size 2 filbert bristle brush. The brand is Silver Brush Grand Prix. A little bit of lead tin yellow. And you see how we're slowly rounding this out? Is it completely necessary? Probably not, but that's a good place to warm up. Hey Maggie. Alright, good. So now we have mixed up a bunch of midtones that seem to make sense and seem to go with the value scheme, so that's good. Now let's go and address some things that don't quite add up, some things that are a little bit fugitive. One of them is right here. This midtone does not make sense. It's pulling a little too much attention to itself, so I have to bring it down, step it down a notch. Ever so slightly. So the value range isn't changing that much. The major values are going to remain pretty much constant, and the changes that you're going to see in the face are going to be very minimum today in this third layer. Now I am experimenting with oiling out the palette before painting and putting, so you can see the palette here is a little more shiny than usual. Since this is the third layer, instead of adding medium to the paints while I'm painting, I have decided to opt out to oil the palette. So a little bit of the oil that is, I pretty much put 2 drops of linseed oil on the palette after I cleaned it off, and then used the paper towel, and that was enough to get a little bit of oil into the mixture. But it's a little experiment of mine. And you pretty much need a wooden palette to be able to do that because of the absorbency of the wooden palette. Alright, good. So we corrected one thing that was a little out of balance there. Now I'm going to look for a couple more spots that need some attention. This is a little too blue because it's missing color. I haven't quite layered that yet. This is the tone of the canvas. It once worked before, but now it needs some attention. So please feel free to ask any art-related questions. Everyone in the audience, if you have any questions about mediums or colors or brushes, feel free to ask. Again, this is not going to be the most exciting of streams. Not a lot of stuff is going to change. But if you pay very close attention, you'll pick up on the importance of the middle stage. Because not everything has to be fast and furious, all alla prima, creating a painting in one sitting all the time. That doesn't have to be like that. It's much more laid back. Okay, so now I'm going to go around to the eyes, and I'm going to take a gamble here and say that I think I made the irises a little too big, so I'm going to switch to the sclera color. Sclera is the white of the eye. The black and white. A little bit of burnt sienna. Cerulean blue. Now this is going to be a little tricky because it's a small adjustment that I want to make, not a very large one. And I need my maul stick, which I seem to misplace almost all the time. So at the time being, I have no clue where it is. So I am going to use a ruler. It's just a yardstick. Hello there, the dude. Could you tell a little bit about graphic design? I really don't know much about graphic design. I know that's an art-related question, but I'm not the best one to ask about graphic design. Hey Marshall, have you ever thought of creating a brush line of your own? Oh yes, I have wanted to create my own brush line, but given the number of studio hours that I put in, I really don't know how I would have the time to put into that kind of thing. I wish. Okay, so I'm shrinking that shape down ever so slightly, ever so carefully. In fact, I'm going to zoom you in so you can see a little better. There you go. Good job, good job. Find a way to stick a magnet on your stick and put it on the side of the easel. Oh, that's a good idea. I usually, when I use a maul stick, I will actually hold it with my left hand. Right now it's just resting on the palette. You can see on the bottom here. Alright, so I gotta be very, very careful with this. So I pushed it over. Now I still have to adjust the shape a little more. This is that kind of boring detail stuff, but it's very important. Hey Karsten, how long, let's see, how long do you let it dry before you lay? Okay, so for the layering, I wait about 2 days, and it's usually dry enough. So basically 48 hours is good. And that all depends on your materials too. if you're using slower drying oil paints, then perhaps it will take longer. For instance, if you use titanium white, that's very slow drying, so that could take a while. Okay, little tiny minuscule adjustments, but they are necessary. Yep, no problem, Karsten. Hey Mariah, what medium? I'm not using any. All I did was oil out the palette with linseed oil and just a couple drops of it, really. A couple drops on the palette, and then I just used a Viva cloth to wipe it down. And that was it. That was all I used. No extra medium is being used at all. Again, the third layer is still pretty young. Pretty young in the development of a painting. When it comes to layering a painting, the very last thing you want to do is start off with a slow dryer and end with a fast dryer in a short amount of time. Basically, what you want to do is make sure that your initial layers are as lean as possible, meaning your concentration of pigment, your pigment volume, it has the most pigment to oil ratio and not oil to pigment. So to make it simple, just avoid using medium for a couple layers. Make sure not to thin out your paints too much with solvent, and you'll be fine. Granted, you're working on a good support, like a linen canvas, like an oil prime linen, or if you're using a cotton canvas, make sure it has a couple extra layers of gesso. It gets a little more scientific than that, but I'll just leave it at that. The palette is about 16 by 20, I think. I can tell you now because I'm holding a ruler. Let's see. We are at 20 inches. 20 inches, about 20 inches long. And let's try to not get paint on this. About 18 inches this way. That's about 18 by 20. Pretty decent size. However, it's actually the smallest size in the turtlewood palettes. If you buy one turtlewood palette, you're pretty much going to have that palette for forever, as long as you take care of it. I have one that I bought in my I think when I was probably like 19. I don't even know. I think I was 19 or whatever. And I let so much paint dry on it, I scraped it off, and it was still good. I even named it. I named it Lumpy. But that palette was... It was a little too much texture on it in the mixing space for me to continue to use. Alright, so little tiny adjustments everywhere now. Hey Karsten, the eyes in your painting look really perfect. Looking at the photo, the woman smiles a little bit more, probably left side her lips where a little red is missing. Possibly. She does have a slight smirk, I guess, over here. I tried to paint, but I think I can probably emphasize that more. That's usually one of those things where I have to decide whether to chase or not to chase. That is the question. So there are two ways you can go about this. You can go towards likeness and chase and chase and chase and chase and chase likeness, or you can go towards refinement and go towards more refinement, and more real, and more dimensional. You don't want to do one and then ignore the other, right? You want a balance. So yes, I think putting in that smirk a little bit better, that smile a little better, you know, is a good idea. But I don't want to lose track of form, identifying individual forms, and then pushing it as far as I can, because that's really what I'm after. I'm after the form, but let's get to this. And this value right here is missing. So when I get this value, I can adjust the shape of the mouth at the same time. A little bit of consolidation there. So we are using Cadmium Red Deep Old Holland, Dioxazine Purple, I think that's Winsor Newton, and let's whatever, let's try this. Oh good. At the same time, I can push more curvature for the mouth, but I can also now use this opportunity to adjust it. Okay, let's see. I'm going to darken the shadow underneath, which will kind of pull the shape. And with portrait painting, we can get into, oh yeah, no problem, Carson. With portrait painting, we can get into this rabbit hole of perfectionism. It's good, but at a certain point, it's not so much about the model anymore. It's more about the painting. At a certain point, right? It's not like I'm telling you just ignore the likeness or ignore the model. That's not what I'm saying at all. Just saying there has to be a middle. Hey Maggie, let's see. The camera is at an angle, so you are going to see some distortion, meaning she's going to look a little bit more compressed. So it could be distorting things. Like I'm saying, it's not really something that I'm going to chase, but it could be. Now I'm going to put in more of the curve for the side of the mouth. Again, something that would be more evident in real life. A little less evident in the photo. And this is basically the complete opposite of a time lapse. I mean, this is as slow motion as it gets. In the past, I did have a camera above my head, zoomed in to minimize the distortion, but that came at too great of a cost to the painting and to myself. skin tones are pretty much just some kind of grayed out pink. Some kind of grayed out orangey pink. I'm referencing my lead tin yellow and transparent mummy a lot. My lead tin yellow is lead tin yellow light, Michael Harding, and the transparent mummy is a Rublev color. And combine that with Williamsburg lead white, and you can't go wrong. I got a blender brush. Alright, so that should be a good starting point for that. Now this section here needs a little more depth. I'm going to burnt sienna, cadmium green pale. Burnt sienna is Old Holland. The cadmium green pale is Winsor Newton. A little bit of raw umber. Lighten it. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere with that. I'm mixing up this mid-tone for some adjustments to the edge there. That should be about good. Now I'll just adjust the edge. Let's see, Karsten. It is generally amazing with portrait painting how facial expressions change even with the slightest change in color, shape. Yeah, definitely. Little tiny things. A painting, I like to consider the big picture and the little picture at the same time. The little stuff and the big stuff. They have to be, all of it has to be thought of in a painting. Painting was very thick, heavy paint, very thin. Meaning not putting on too much at a time, just letting the layers build. Alright, so now there's going to be a change in plane up here. Closer to the greenish. Maybe we'll use some Cerulean Blue, Cobalt Blue. Perfect. That is the exact color and value that I've been working for. So moments like these are magical, and that could probably even be the last passage on that area. Other areas are much more complex. Sometimes the right mark, the right color doesn't happen for a while. This really builds patience. Not only do we have to build our skill level in painting, but also our skill level in the patience required for painting. Some things require way more patience. Hey Mariah. Oh, well, I'm glad that you're enjoying these streams, at least I hope. They've definitely evolved, I think, over time. In the past, it was a lot more fast-paced. Now it's much more slow, methodical. So I'm throwing in some of a slight greenish tint to the neck. Is it in the photo reference? Nope. The photo reference makes it look kind of flat, so I'm intentionally pushing this whole color mass from this color mass here. These values are going to get very subtle, even more than before. This is only going to be slightly darker than this. Hey Carson, what is your opinion about green underpaintings? Saw that some Renaissance painters seem to have done this. There's a special name for that. I forgot. It slips my mind, but honestly, I think that you can do whatever approach with painting and achieve great results, so long as you always consider the fundamentals. I always emphasize the fundamentals and how important the fundamentals are, especially to my online students. This is a live demonstration, but I'll try to touch on as much of it as I can. Start with whatever you want. Start with a green underpainting, start with a turquoise underpainting, start with a red underpainting, whatever you want to do. But consider the fundamentals. Always consider light and shadow, composition, proportion, perspective, all of the good stuff. However, a cooler base for skin tones is actually very useful in many senses because it contrasts with the warmth of the skin tone. So this is why I chose a gray. The gray helps to contrast the skin tone, so it's very similar, but not quite a green underpainting. Hey Kathy. So a lot of times I'm just mixing the color that I had I'm remixing the color that I had mixed before. See, now I'm using Cinnabar Green Light. I tend to use Transparent Mummy a lot. I believe it's an oxide red. Let me check it out for you. Pigment PR102 iron oxide is what it is. I have it right next to my burnt sienna. Alright, so let's get some conversation going on in the chat. I want to know what everyone's favorite brushes are. I'll tell you my favorite brushes currently, because this changes a lot. My favorite brush is, now I'm not sponsored by this brand. I wish I was. If somebody knows somebody, help me out. Anyway, this is Silver Brush Grand Prix. Those are my favorite. Silver Brush Grand Prix. Size 4 extra long filberts are my favorite. What are your favorite brushes? I want to know. Do you prefer synthetics? Do you like sables? Do you like the token? I think they're called token brushes. Do you like rosemary? Do you like mongoose, synthetic mongoose hairs? Do you like hog hairs? What's your favorite? Hey Marshall, what grade did you use, or was it a mixture? It was a mixture of my own. I use Alkyd Titanium White and Alkyd Ivory Black mixed together to get this gray tone. Is iron oxide transparent? It's transparent. At least my transparent mummy is very transparent. Hey, Javi, Javi. Mimic Og synthetics are nice. Oh, awesome. I saw that on Jerry's. I wonder if you got it from Jerry's too. Alright, so now I'm going to remix this color, fill that in a little bit, and then we'll start to define the clavicles a little better. A little bit of Viridian. I'm going to make this side a little cooler. Oh, you got them at Jerry's? Awesome. I'm waiting on a package from Jerry's actually today. It should be arriving. Javi, Javi. Some Renaissance silver brush sables should be coming in the mail sometime soon. Hey Mariah, let's see. So you use sables, number 2 and number 4 filberts, small rounds, and hog brushes. Awesome. Oh, you have Payne's Gray, Marshall, or however that's pronounced. I don't think I've ever tried that. But I'm wondering if that would be a good middle tone for toning canvases. Alright, good. I got the color that I want. Fairly thick. And dry brush and soften a little more. But of course I'm going to go into the hair and stuff later. Add more of the light there. So crowd question everyone, what are your favorite brushes? Let us know. Marshall, I like the talcum brushes. Yep, they're very good, very subtle synthetics. Hello, plant, trees, and honeybees. Oh, thank you for your comment. There we go. Now we have some more refinement for the neck. I'm going to pull a little more light out over here to get more of that curvature. Going to change the hue a little bit. Ready, set, go. Hey Tormod, the expression I'm not really trying to chase. She is slightly smiling here. I just painting it however I deem fit. So no, I didn't chase the smile too much. If anything, my subconscious didn't want to paint the smile so that it would look less photo referenced. Hundreds of brushes, Marshall. Wow. Let's see. Does oil paint solvent Gamsol give cancer? Sure, if it's too much. I mean, there's a lot of things that can cause our DNA sequences to change and alter themselves in our modern lives. I tell you one thing though, Gamsol is probably not the most potent of them all that we experience on our daily lives. But yeah, you know, things like lead, right? Lead white, you want to be careful not to get it in your skin. And if you get it on your hands or something, it's not too big of an issue. You just don't want to ingest it. Alright, so I'm adjusting the side of the eyebrow. Alright, so that should be good for now. Okay, so the background on this side. I had to think about it a little bit. Last time I painted this image, or not the same image, but from the same angle, I put in the reflection. This time I don't think I'm going to put the reflection in, and I don't know if I'm going to paint the background color quite the same as what you're seeing there. So I have to be a little careful with my camera positioning. Alright, so I'm going to leave it at that, and now I'm going to go into the background now. Alright, so let's paint in the background and the hair, and then I may do some of this rendering stuff off camera. So let's get a bigger brush. I have a size 6 filbert somewhere in my arsenal. Here's a size 6. Alright, so let's go with raw umber. I'm going to go with a kind of neutral green, so Viridian. Alright, so hey, let's see. If the solvent is in a bottle and I don't use it and it is just standing somewhere in my house, is it dangerous? No, no, it shouldn't be dangerous at all. What you want to do if your concern is with studio safety is get a metal trash can, and all of the rags that you use to clean off your brushes, make sure that you put the rags in a airtight sealed metal container, and it should be fine. Hey Ratty, well I do more acrylic portraits. I'm probably in the foreseeable future. I don't think that I will venture off from oil painting as much. Of course, never say never, but I don't think I will be doing acrylics in some time. Speaking of Gamsol, in the background, you can use a little bit of solvent I'm gonna see if I can get by without using it. Since this is all still in its first layer, this has it's on its third. Hey Mara, let's see, Maranatha. This is the third layer, so technically not wet on wet alla prima. It was started alla prima, yes, but this painting is on its third layer. I streamed the first 2 sessions on this one last week. Yep, take care, Karsten. Thanks for watching. Well, I'm glad you found the Retty. I'm glad you found the acrylic ones helpful. Okay, so pretty much dry brushing this background tone, and I'm gonna push the blue a little bit more blue gray up here, and then we'll get into the hair, flower crown, and then shirt, and that might be it for today. Yep, no problem. And I believe last time I used a little bit of Gamsol in the background, and I can see it's kind of sunken in a little too much on this side, which works fine because if it's going to sink in, I'd rather it sink in next to the shadow tone. If you've noticed, this really hasn't sunken in that much, and that's because I didn't use that much solvent. I don't think I used any solvent over here. Alright, so let's throw in some more stuff. For the hair, I'll go in with the darker darks first. Dioxazine Purple, Ivory Black, Alizarin Crimson, Lake Extra. A little too dark, so Perelyne Red. A little more Cadmium Red. I'm going to switch to the other brush and paint in some of the cast shadow from the hair. Alrighty, so we're going to cut this one to 1 hour short. So all moderators will be here for another 5 minutes. So just a few more touches here, and then I'll continue this with you all next time. I will work on it off camera though. There's a lot of stuff I need to do here, and then you'll see the results next time. Let's see. Very good comment from Kathy. It says, I enjoy oil paints because they stay workable for longer than acrylics, plus you can't beat skin tones created with leaded flake white. 100% true. Hey Marshall, is it a good idea to use less medium when beginning a painting? Yes, I would use little to no medium when beginning. Next time I think we're actually going to use a little medium, and next time will be like the 4th layer on here, so we'll just start to introduce it. Yep, take care, Javi. Job. We're gonna be on here for another 4 minutes, then I'm gonna sign out. Hey Victor, welcome. So these virtual painting sessions are usually every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so whatever time it is in Maryland, since the time just changed on us, it went back an hour. So depending on where you are, just check out 5 o'clock Maryland, USA time on Wednesdays, and then on Saturdays, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you would like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, it'll just send you notifications, so you don't have to. You'll get a notification instead of having to search for the stream, which might be easier. And also, everyone that's not in my online classes, if you are interested in more educational content, please check out patreon.com/upariartist. And check out my online classes. I think I'm gonna leave that for the flowers. Might just leave that alone. Thanks for subscribing, Victor. And so yeah, next time will be Saturday. So I show as much as I can, but I won't be able to show every brush mark. But what you will see at some point is a painting taken to a very far level. Not so much in the terms of like a photograph, because that's not what I'm after, but more technical refinement. And I'll explain it for you as much as I can. Okay. All right, so it is now 6 o'clock on my time. I had to cut this one to an hour. Like I said, I'm either going to do 2 hours or 1 hour, never more than 2 hours. But I think that there's a lot of stuff that I need to do, in particular to the little tiny details, which I can't really do with all this camera stuff around me. So you will see the continuation of this painting next time. Next time, you're going to see a little more details to the face. Not much more. It's going to be virtually almost undetectable what you'll see. But you will see next time we'll start to put in more stuff over here. And then over here, definitely check out my Instagram for pictures of my paintings. Check out Etsy if you're interested in purchasing any paintings. And definitely check out my Patreon for my online classes where I build you up from the ground up. So if you have no experience, definitely you will be able to build and build and build and build. If you enter in with experience, I will still be able to teach you the most that I can, all fundamentals based. So thank you for your comment there, Private ACC. Thank you, Student Art, for your comment. And thanks, Marshall. Alrighty, so I'm going to hang out for just another minute, see if there are any questions, any more questions. Yep, it is Saturday at noon, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, Maryland time. And thanks for all the likes, everyone. Let's see, how long did it take me? This is the third. This is the third video for this. I think it was 2 hours, 2 hours, and then this was 1 hour, so 5 hours to this point. Well, thanks, Marshall. And like I said, the idea is to do a stream on Saturday, but if it becomes too much of a hassle for me, I'll switch back to pre-recorded. Like I said, these streams are they're on a, what's it called, tentative schedule, that is. Yep. Alrighty. So take care, everyone. I wish you the very best in all of your artwork, and I will see you on the next one. And thank you so much to my moderators that signed in today. So thank you so much, Kathy and Brenda and Ingrid, my wonderful moderators. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.